Fires are raging all over the world right now. There's actually some fires look close to me in Spokane. Two firefighting helicopters in Greece crashed into each other. Their ropes got tangled is what happened. They were doing flybys, and I guess the wind, it caught the ropes and... Super sad. You know, they're fighting wildfires and just, yeah, really, really sad. Yeah, and there are fires locally, too. Spokane, 600 structures destroyed already. This is pretty close to my back door. Really, really nasty stuff. Just the whole world's, like, really burning right now. I know we keep talking about it, but, like, really nasty stuff.
Because as we take a look here across the region, we're going to be focusing on all of the level 3 evacuations. And the first one that I want to start with is still for the Old Trails fire, which is the largest level 3 evacuation.
Here, we can...
The Department of Natural Resources on the phone now with us to talk about the response. Thomas Kyle Millward joining us now. So, Thomas, thanks for being here. I want to get right to it. What's the focus right now from the Department of Natural Resources? Good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Thanks for having me.
I don't want to hear a phone call. I want to see videos of the fires. Yeah, let's appeal to the sensational. Oh, wow. They're burning like actual buildings. Sorry, I actually hadn't like caught an update on this. You know, normal when wildfires rage out of control, it's like first they take the forest and then they take like, you know, like those one-off houses that are out there in the woods. They're getting like the actual suburbia areas here. Yeah, that's why I was so shocked. It's really, really bad. Ah, there's a dog in the car. Well, the dog's safe. I mean, the dog's in the car. Really, really nasty stuff. Here we go. Non-local news.
Overnight in Washington, entire blocks of homes seen burning. Firefighters unable to battle the flames in these neighborhoods, focusing instead on getting residents out.
It's a tragedy what we're seeing over there. When the sun rises in the morning, I think we're going to be in shock to see some of the scenes that emerge out of there.
Residents under evacuation orders, lines of cars backed up as people try to get out.
Over there is the fire that can potentially take everything that we worked for.
The local sports complex completely engulfed. A towering plume of smoke over Spokane as flames moved around the metro area. 3 separate fires burning at the same time, all pushed by strong wind. The governor declaring a state of emergency, issuing a burn ban through September.
Our state's facing a very serious situation with multiple fires. Our hearts go out to Washingtonians who are losing their homes and being evacuated.
And activating the National Guard to support firefighters. Spokane seeing massive plumes of smoke billowing over mountains and neighborhoods. Thick gray clouds covering the skies.
That's why chatters need to be prepared for an emergency. Yeah, I when I was young, my thinking was like, you store up food and water for an earthquake. That's because I grew up in LA. But like, you can't prepare for everything. Now I'm more of the mind of like, you really should have like a go pack. You should have a duffel bag that's always packed. You should have like in your house a large bag that like if a nuke went off, you can just grab that and leave immediately, no thinking, just grab it, go. That's it. You know, medical supplies, food, so on and so forth. There's a video quietly playing in the background, just autoplay on the news.
As air crews desperately try to combat the flames from above. The destructive inferno fueled by hot, dry, and windy conditions.
A lot of wind, a lot of influx.
Threatening at least 5,000 structures, scorching entire homes in its path, and leaving over 25,000 customers in the state without power this morning. Officials say there are at least 5 complex fires burning, more than 250,000 acres combined statewide.
My buddy in Chilan said the Little Giant fire jumped over Lake Chilan yesterday. That's a pretty big fire break overcome. This one's causing this major plume in Washington. Your link didn't work, but we can find it on the fire tracker map. Yeah, look at this. These fires are raging into the city. This is like, I don't know if it's totally unprecedented, but it's 2 separate fires closing in on a pretty major city. Where's Lake Chilan? There's Lake Spokane. Where's Lake Chilan? I'm not as familiar with the the environment over here. What's the population of Spokane? Hundreds of thousands. It's west. Over here, I assume? Spokane River? No, not that. Above Wenatchee? Okay, there's a lot of shit going on right now, is the problem. North of Wenatchee? Okay, I'm not familiar with where that is. That sounds... North of Wenatchee, north of Wenatchee. I'm looking. Search functions on the... I don't like using search functions. The grays where it's ripped through. I mean, I assume it'd be like... Over there? Yeah, you're right. More west? Okay. It's Jesus Christ, look at all this. Oh, there it is. Lake Chelan. Oh, wow. This is the... Yeah. This is where it jumped over. That is a really big fire break. How big of a distance is that? Does this thing have a ruler tool? High winds can do that. 300 meters is this little bar down here. So what? This is a kilometer? The fire jumped a kilometer? Yeah, it looks like it. Or maybe a little more than a kilometer. Jesus Christ. From ash? Yeah. The smoldering embers, the wind blows it. It's a mile wide. Basically impossible to build fire breaks wide enough. El Nino pushes dry Arctic air into Washington, and the rains that normally hit Washington are being pushed into the southwest where they'll cause flooding. Only the beginning should get worse by October. Yeah, it's only going to get worse, I'm afraid. On the plus side, you know, the fuel can only burn once. Every area that's had too much fuel buildup is going to burn through, and after that, it's going to be tough for the same level of wildfire to race through it. Like, I'm not trying to be glib. That actually is a benefit. Unlike a lot of the natural disasters that are going to get worse, fires are going to have, like, a peak period, and after that, they're going to die down a little bit because we're just not producing enough. There's not enough foliage for the wildfires to rip through. I don't know enough about what Africa is supposed to look like in terms of wildfires. I don't really know what this means. I'm sorry. And you've got some bad ones in Greece. This is where the helicopters crashed, I assume? Are the Canadian crews helping? I think the Canadian crews are probably busy. We don't focus on Africa enough. I completely agree. Yeah, anyway, get a go bag. Yeesh. While we're on the topic, hold on.
The Modrite fire scorching more than 40,000 acres, only 19% contained and more than 600 firefighters deployed. Wildfires erupting across the West. At least 30 fires raging in Oregon, more than half the state facing severe drought conditions in what could be the state's worst wildfire season on record. The Roe Creek Complex fire there blazing through more than 300,000 acres, just 55% contained.
And WIT firefighters are hoping to get a bit of a break today with less wind and cooler temperatures, a high of only 75 degrees and clouds today. That would all help, but the damage here has already been done. WIT.
It sure has a ways to go there. Alex Stone, thank you.
Well, the damage has been done and will continue to be done. The damage is continuing.
After years of battle over its use and a long-running drought, states that rely on the Colorado River are facing the prospect of further cutbacks. The river supplies nearly 40 million people across 7 states and northwestern Mexico and is vital to agriculture across the west and southwest. But years of gridlock among the states have prompted the federal government to step in. A new blueprint released today lays out new requirements for managing the shrinking river. Some scenarios could eventually lead to steep cuts, but the most immediate effects will be felt over the next 2 years. Our science correspondent, Miles O'Brien, is here to explain what's at stake and what could be in store, part of our series, Tipping Point. Miles, it's always great to see you. So for the unfamiliar...
This is going to cost so much more than we had invested in combating climate change. Yeah, I feel like probably for the rest of, I don't know, I can't say for the rest of our species' existence, but like at the very least for the next few hundred years, fighting the climate is probably going to be like one of the biggest jobs. Like if you probably a significant percentage of all humans will have their employment rooted in some way or another in managing the climate. You know, whether that be the maintenance of flood protection infrastructure or fighting wildfires or whatever. It could be a million things. We're going to have to do... It's going to take an unbelievable amount of labor to make the planet habitable.
Explain how it is that 7 states rely on the Colorado River.
Yeah, this is a problem, Jeff, that has roots that are more than 100 years old. You have to go back to when the river was divvied up in 1922, the Colorado River Compact, dividing it into the upper basin, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, and the lower basin, California, Arizona, and Nevada. Each of them was assured 7.5 million acre feet. That's about 2.4 trillion gallons of water. And that was a number, not a percentage, kind of set in stone. The problem is that agreement occurred at a particularly wet time for the river. And
the problem is not that it occurred at a particularly wet time for the river. The problem is that no state or federal government has been willing to challenge the capital interests invested in using the water from the river. Scientists have known for ages now how much water is running through the river and the fact that we overtax the Colorado. This wasn't like a little oopsie-daisy scientific fuck-up. The scientists have always known. It's just nobody's been willing to challenge the farmers.
Over time, the river has not delivered anywhere near that amount of water. And over the past 25 years, during a climate change...
We could have adjusted it at any point. At any point in the past century, we could have said, here's the actual amount of water that runs through the Colorado seasonally, and here's how much you get to use. But we haven't, because we can't challenge wealth. Nobody can challenge wealth.
Fueled epic drought, it's become even more acute. The river is now 20% less flow than was envisioned in 1922, and it's very difficult for the 7 states to negotiate with a pie that is shrinking that fast. And so
I'm from Wyoming. The farmers and ranchers have a chokehold in their legislature. Yeah, it's unfortunately like this is a problem. It's a problem with capitalism. It's a problem with democracy. You're running into like a set of like a collection of combined unified interests that basically overwhelm any, you know, scientific input on the subject. The rational thing here would be for the strong arm of the state to just rule with an iron fist and decree what is necessary. But nobody can do that anymore. Teddy Roosevelt could, FDR could. There were leaders in the past who could, but capital has weakened our institutions. The only relevant voice in these decisions now is just local petty capitalists, you know, ranchers, farmers. Those are the only people with anything worth listening to, essentially. Everyone else has been completely drowned out.
Are at loggerheads.
The states have known this has been coming for years. Why haven't they been able to reach a deal?
It's just difficult to share cuts like this when things are diminishing. And
well, strong state in the USSR dried out the Aral Sea. Right, I'm not saying any strong state could do it. I'm saying you would need a strong state to do it. The Soviet Union was not a workers' democracy.
What has happened is the federal government, in the form of the Bureau of Reclamation, which runs the big dams along the river, the Glen Canyon Dam, which creates Lake Powell, the Hoover Dam, which creates Lake Mead, those 2 giant reservoirs, seeing critical shortages there, all-time lows there, has decided it's time to step in. And so what they're saying, although the rules haven't come out yet, they released an environmental impact statement, which lays out a 10-year plan which allows...
Here's a way to show your point. In the G7 meeting, there were CEOs sitting alongside world leaders. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. The G7 has some special lunchtime guests this year: Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis, and Dario Amore. Yeah, that shows... I mean, that's a relatively straightforward way of understanding the problem, I would say. Yeah. And why not? A lot, like, Sam Altman has, like, himself more political power than, you know, leadership from France does, easily.
It to adapt to the hydrology of the river. As there's less water, they will make decisions on how much water they will discharge, and making decisions about how healthy the reservoirs are and how much of a shortage farmers and cities south of those dams will have to face. But it's a
it's not the farmers directly. Nothing is anything directly but capital. Weren't we talking about this just a couple of weeks ago? How what was his name? I have his book over there. David Graeber said that he wrote about back in the 1970s, fossil fuel executives wrote the government and essentially said, we know that our policies are destroying the world. Please regulate us. We do not want to destroy the world, but right now we are legally incentivized to maximize shareholder value. That is literally the law. If we don't do that, we will be replaced with people who will. The incentive structure that exists right now will end the world. Please regulate the fossil fuel companies. This was said by the CEOs of these fossil fuel companies. This is the point. This is the point of the historical or the material dialectic of historical materialism, you know? It's not about any individual. It might be the case that the average, oligarch is personally a detestable human, but their moral, the how much their heart weighs against a feather is immaterial. It's the incentives. It's always been the incentives. Any individual farmer could be a good person. Now, most of them aren't, but they could be. It wouldn't make a difference. You could. It's one of the reasons why I've always felt very contemptuous towards those, those socialist cafes, socialist bookstores that pop up. Your personal opinions can't overwrite the modality. You can't form pockets of socialism in a framework of capitalism. You can make the most socialist bookstore in the world. You're still buying books that are printed on paper that was made in mills in the third world that are deforesting to get there's the superstructure is what matters at the end of the day. The superstructure ends the world. Anything you do within the superstructure is your moral feasance. It's an expression of your personal contentedness, And I'm not saying there's no point in individual action. What I'm saying is your eyes always have to be locked in on the superstructure. Better CEOs won't fix the problem. Better farmers won't fix the problem. Better businesses, better stores, none of it will fix the problem. The problem is the superstructure, You can buy your clothes from an ethical, sustainable, made in America outlet, but it doesn't change the broader dynamic. You might be contributing to a solution, but the superstructure, the superstructure is what it is.
Difficult situation, and the rules will probably involve some significant cutbacks, and those cutbacks ultimately may not be enough. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out.
And the federal government is now stepping in. What's the government doing about all this?
Well, it's kind of unprecedented. Sarah Porter, an expert at the Arizona State University, said it's the first time in decades that the federal government has stepped in.
Nice.
It is a problem which ultimately leads us to agriculture, Jeff. 75% of the water used on the Colorado River is used by agriculture. Cities in the West have grown rapidly, but they've done a very good job conserving. And so as a result, closing the gap is frankly going to mean asking farmers to use less water, plant crops that need less water, or getting out of business.
Doesn't Nestle own a crazy amount of what should be public water rights? Yes, and to that I say, not really their fault, huh? Nestle is a uniquely evil corporation, but it's only because they've been allowed to be. We've created a legal incentive structure where maximizing profit for shareholders includes fighting out the upcoming water wars. We have made it legal for them to do this. It's under international law, it's legal for businesses to sue nations who affect their profits. A country that regulates a business can be sued by that business for cutting into their profits. This is a part of the international neoliberal world order that America has centered. Corporate courts that allow, say, Nestle or Coca-Cola, if just to put Mali, for example, or Niger wanted to regulate the acquisition of water, they could be taken to court by Nestle, and they could lose. The international community could demand that Mali or Niger or whatever gives money to Nestle for the crime of regulating their water use. It's all about the superstructure. Like Nestle, these people might be individually evil, but if you got rid of them, they would be replaced. The incentives are what matters. And the reason we don't change the incentives is because the people who get to choose the incentives are in league with the people who benefit from them, obviously.
Entirely. Here's a little more on that from Colorado State University climate scientist Brad Udall.
You have large municipalities like Phoenix, which is 40% dependent on Colorado River water, or Tucson, perhaps 80% dependent, or Los Angeles, 25% dependent, that frankly can't take a back seat to agriculture.
I know you hate this question, but then what the fuck is to be done? I'm really sorry, but I genuinely believe that every sensible theorist, when it comes to climate science or economics, has decided for decades now that there's nothing that can be done in the immediate sense, that we're just going to essentially destroy the planet. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm sorry. I feel like we're starting to stream off on a bad note here, but have you guys seen? I've seen this go viral twice. It's a TikTok video, and the TikTok caption is when you get to the end of a book about policy, and then the end of the book is But don't worry, there's still hope on the way. If local communities organize and agitate and combine resources, then we can do da-da-da. And the idea is that these books have a bunch of empty platitudes at the end about how we can like wokely defeat the global systems that have been exhaustively examined in the book and found to be overwhelmingly powerful and so on. Like it's all like co-posting at the end. I don't care for this, you know. I've said for years now, we are going to run into the wall very, very hard. The best that we can do is build systems that can endure that, so that when you know, we're picking up the pieces, we can get started a little bit easier. You know what I mean? It's the same reason you have a go bag in your car or in your house or whatever. You don't have the go bag so that you can prevent a climate disaster from happening, an earthquake or a wildfire, whatever. You have it so you can quickly manage yourself and rebuild afterwards. Basically, I consider the project of this entire stream, to the extent that there is a project beyond, you know, making fat dough and buying clothes, to provide a kind of ideological go bag, right? Like I don't think there's anything ideologically. Go bag sounds like prepper shit. Everyone should have a go bag. That's not prepper shit. Please God, don't let prepper. The prepper are like people who are living out in the woods with a bunch of ammunition and firearms and who like are asocial or antisocial. Prepper does not mean have a plan in case of an emergency. Okay, it's super, super normal to have a go bag. Anyway. I consider the whole stream an ideological go bag in a way, because I don't think there's anything that we can really do to avoid the disaster. I just think you have to be prepared, you know. When people are like, so what do we do then? There's no hope. What you're basically telling me is like, if any natural disaster ever hit your house, you would just give up and die. Like if an earthquake hit your house, you wouldn't run out of the house with your go bag. You'd be like, well, there's nothing that I can do to stop my house from crumbling, so I'm just going to stand here and go down with the ship, you know? No, you have to have a go bag.
You can't have 500 farmers taking water from 5 million people in Phoenix. It just won't work politically. It makes no sense economically.
More details on the actual plan next week, but we do know the parameters now, Jeff. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Probably almost certain this is going to end up one way or another in the Supreme Court. Proving once again the adage attributed to Mark Twain, whiskey is for drinking, water is for fighting over, Jeff.
Great. Well, my fucking state is on fire. Apparently it's going to get quite a bit worse, too. The winds are about to start blowing all that Spokane wildfire smoke westward towards Seattle. Thankfully, the Cascades are going to keep us from the worst of it. The mountain range right here that my mouse cursor is going over, but it's still gonna blow over in my direction, so that'll be fun. And also, apparently, we're not going to get any rain here for 2 weeks. Great. Just no rain in the Pacific Northwest for 2 weeks. I thought there was always rain in the Pacific Northwest. Well, there should be, certainly when there's a wildfire going on. No rain here, huh? Buddy, you think 2 weeks is bad? It's the Pacific Northwest, and also there are wildfires raging. It would be nice if there was rain.
Nearly 65,000 families evacuated, 0% containment of these wildfires. Multiple dangerous fires are spreading across the Spokane area in Washington state. So far, officials say that more than 700 homes have been destroyed, and some of the images of the destruction that we're seeing, they're just tragedy. Watch this.
Why does it feel like the world's on fire? Are you sitting down right now?
That is what families were seeing from the water as they were trying to escape. Let's get to CNN's Julia Vargas Jones. She's on the scene in Spokane.
You in a safe area? This is in Spokane. This is the other side of Washington, but the smoke is going to start to blow around to our area pretty soon.
This morning, what are you hearing there today?
Okay, it's not a regular Monday in Spokane. People are waking up to see just the extent of this tragedy. As you mentioned, 65,000 residences evacuated to places like this, to shelters where they're faced with that uncertainty of whether or not they will even have a home to return to. And some of them who have been able to go and see their properties completely destroyed, engulfed by the fire, and just spit out as just almost charcoal.
No, it's actually like genuinely quite bad. What is this?
Showing a so-called smoke-nado at
Cool.
the Coleman Creek fire.
That's from Oregon. Where's that fire map somebody linked the other day? I liked that one. Yeah, we looked at it yesterday.
They had really interesting insight into whether or not they could even return and build a life in these areas. Again, take a listen.
I don't think I'm going to rebuild here because I don't ever want to have to relive a fire coming up this hill again. And I've been in Spokane my entire 64 years because my little brother died in an accident when he was 6. And that's why I stayed close to my family.
It's so heartbreaking, Kate, to hear that kind of thinking coming from these residents. We saw so many people grappling with that very decision as we drove past these.
Poor guy. It's going to be a lot of us. A significant number of people, even, we'll just say in the Western world, because again, like this has been happening for a long time in places like the Philippines, you know, India. But there are a lot of people in the Western world living in places that are not like going to be, like you just can't build there. Basically, we can't afford to maintain the infrastructure that people have come to expect for their daily life. There are places that are probably always going to be relatively safe, but you know, like it's going to dwindle. Like the entire American Southwest is up on the chopping block right now. It's like people living in floodplains. Yeah, exactly. Like you can build in floodplains if it's a once in a century flood that you're worried about, but if it gets around to being once in like a decade, then it's like, okay, what's even the point of building here? And if it's once in a year, you don't even try.
Neighborhoods with row after row of homes destroyed. Now, officials here from the National Guard is urging people to please be patient. It will take some time to return to their homes. There's a lot of work to be done here. As you mentioned, the fire is still at 0% containment, so there is that part of the work being done, but also clearing the roads, clearing debris for people.
How close to Spokane are you? Pretty far. I'm not concerned for my safety or well-being, except in the sense that I'm going to be inhaling a lot of black smoke. Because of this. But yeah, no, it's quite bad. Thankfully, Seattle and the area around it are protected by the Cascade Mountains in the sense that a lot of moisture is trapped here, so it's not like a wildfire prone area. The Pacific Northwest, at least along the coast, is really damp. I'm not saying fire's impossible. I'm just saying that eastern Washington is quite dry.
Come back. That can take some time. Still 10,000 people without any kind of electricity around this area. It will be a difficult path to recovery.
And joining us right now to talk more about this is the Deputy Director for Spokane County Emergency Management, Chandra Fox. Thank you so much for jumping on this morning.
Something, a series of phone videos getting closer to where you live until you're the one filming it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Jesus, it's like in the neighborhoods. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people understand that like this is not just brush adjacent to the town. It's gone into the town. Like the city is on fire. All right, well, don't get me copyright struck. Like, look at this. It's the city. The city is on fire. Jesus Christ. It's Washington's Palisades fire. It does feel like it. It's not even, like, controlled, you know? Got some photos of the fire for you. My farm/homestead is about 3 to 5 miles from the evacuation zone. I'll take a look in just a second. Hope you're doing okay. Sorry, I prayed for this to happen to Spokane. This might actually be the fault of Seattle, because every Seattleite falls asleep at night praying for the destruction of Spokane, for bringing down the average IQ of our great state. So I do apologize for whatever psychic damage I've contributed to, like the sort of spirit bomb. Jesus, look at these houses are just vaporized. Is it a real city? The broader metropolitan area of Spokane is more than 500,000 people. It's not a small town. It's quite large. The evacuation map extends well into the metropolitan area. Canada's sending planes to support efforts to contain it, while Trump has announced that he's trying to decide how to punish Canada for this. Yeah, it seems fair. Ugh. It's also a massive area to evacuate. Yeah, it's pretty big. Spokane, not Spokane. I know. I just get it mixed up. What part of Washington is Hitlerville, USA? Listen, Hitlerville, look, we all trash Spokane, but Hitlerville, USA is every part of eastern Washington that isn't Spokane. They're just like, you know, the biggest metropolitan area getting the flack.
Can you just give me your assessment of where things stand this morning?
Good morning, Kate. Happy to be with you today.
Oh, I'm sorry. These were the photos submitted by a chatter from their farm and homestead. Jesus Christ! Hope you get a payout from Nat Geo for these. You bro, run.
So this morning, we're not quite 48 hours into this incident, and as you noted, we have multiple fires burning.
Like to consider, it's 48 hours, and like the entire city is getting evacuated. Not the whole city, but like a significant portion of the city. So just nothing, you know.
In several locations across the county. As emergency management, we're still very, very focused on public safety. We're still working through the evacuation process, making sure that we're getting folks out of the area as needed. We did have some expansion in evacuation areas yesterday evening, so we have a little bit of an expansion on the Autumn Lane fire. You know, it's a challenging time.
Do you have reports of anyone injured or unaccounted for?
I wonder when the deep state is going to flip the switch and news media is allowed to talk about this like a climate crisis. You know what I mean? Like every time you get like a cursory mention, CNN will bring on like one wispy looking academic who will be like, oh, this is probably because of climate change, which is worsening the yearly, you know. I wonder at what point the permission slip is going to be filed and everyone gets to acknowledge like what's actually going on here.
So we have, at this point, fortunately, we've had no injuries to any of our public safety responders. We have lost some equipment. We lost, one of our fire districts lost a brush truck in the fires. I believe it was Sunday that happened. As far as loss of life, we have no information on that right now. We do have a number of missing persons reports that law enforcement is following up on, but to this point right now, we have no information on any potential fatality.
Okay, but there, yeah, the deputy fire chief I was speaking through for the county, he was concerned that those...
At Vaush, the evacuation area only had 3 roads out. All of them are on fire. I was stuck sitting in traffic less than a mile from the front for over an hour watching it approach. Jesus Christ. Oof. And it's worth remembering, I'm going to assume most people here have not been near a wildfire. I actually have, because I grew up in LA. It's really hot. I know that sounds like really obvious, but it's important to remember that even if you're sitting in a car, being like 50 feet from the fire doesn't mean that you're safe from the fire. Like shit will just catch on fire for fun. You're in an oven, you know? Even if the fire can't burn the road, right? Because asphalt's not flammable. But if stuff on either side of the road catches fire, the space in the middle of the road might as well be like, it could be like 200 degrees. You know, your tires will melt. You'll broil in the car. Like fire is dangerous. Oh, it can't. Well, I guess anything can catch on fire if you try hard enough. But you understand my point.
Missing persons reports were going to start coming in since this really blew through so quickly. Started and came through so quickly. The latest we have had is that there are more than 700 homes destroyed and nearly 65,000 families have been forced to evacuate across the Spokane area. Can you give me, is that the latest numbers you have?
That's pretty much what we know right now of what we refer to as 700 structures. So that does include some outbuildings and some shops in the rural areas, but that will be, unfortunately, the majority of that number will be primary homes.
The deputy fire chief I was speaking to also just...
Extreme example, but I remember hearing stories of when the fire bombings happened in Tokyo, people would flee to rivers and pools, but they would literally just boil away. It's not even really an extreme example. Like in terms of how much heat is being pushed into the atmosphere, a wildfire and firebombing Tokyo are probably in the same ballpark. I mean, in either case, everything's on fire, you know? I guess like the fuel is different, the composition. But yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Definitely not great, in my opinion. Don't really know what to say there, I suppose.
Said really plainly that it's not only devastating, but also just something that he's really just not seen before and just how fast this has moved. Can you, Chandra, just give me your sense of that, your experience with this so far, what you're hearing from people on.
Like, you remember that video, that like trail cam video footage of a wildfire spreading, and it was in real time, and everything just caught on fire like immediately. You all remember that? It was like immediate, because everything's so dry and hot. Like, again, you've put the grass in an oven. It's not like fire spreading when it's 60 degrees out or whatever. It's like the air is 250 degrees, so it takes nothing for dry grass to light up. Yeah, if anyone could find that video.
What is unfolding?
It really is. It's not normal for us. I mean, wildfire is our primary hazard for Spokane County. We have a very risk-prone environment. It's very typical for the entirety of the county to be under some level of drought condition during the summer months. But unfortunately this year, because we had a very warm and uneventful winter. We did not have the snowpack that we normally have. And so at this point, we're here on the 3rd of August. And in terms of fuel load...
Does the U.S. have voluntary fire brigades? Yeah, we're also getting help from Canada. The problem is that, like, past a certain severity of wildfire in drought conditions, there's not, like, that much you can do. Like, to give you a perspective on this, we were looking at this yesterday. The area is so dry and the fire is burning so hot that the embers were carried by wind over a 1 mile wide river. I don't remember which of these rivers it was, but if we could just imagine for a moment that this is the river that we're talking about, and imagine that this is a mile wide, like, even a mile wide fire break wasn't enough. Embers still crossed over it. So past a point, this isn't the river, I'm using it as an example. Past a severity point of the fire, like, what are you going to do? You can't really contain it. Like, the ember's just going to blow somewhere new. It's not, there's a limit, unfortunately. There's no way for any number of firefighters to create fire breaks large enough to prevent that. This kind of coverage is really depressing. These anchors are just saying, oh my God, this is so bad, with no acknowledgement whatsoever of the cause. Well, basically every anchor who works in mainstream media has known for decades that the world is getting raped to death by fossil fuel companies. They're just not allowed to say it. They know. They're well-educated people. They're aware of what they can and can't say. Back in my day, we just called this summer. I do believe in democracy, but being up for re-election every few years is incompatible with the unpopular things that'll need to happen to combat climate change. Oh, no, like, genuinely, I think that you're an idiot if you support American-style electoral democracy at this point. Like, climate change, if you could abstract climate change to, like, a threat level, it would be greater than every war humanity has ever experienced put together. It's like alien invasion threat. It's like solar expansion. Basically the best system of government is whatever system of government does the most to fix this as fast as possible. That's the gist of it. It's like every other, like, basically all human rights are secondary to that, because, like, we'll all be dead. Like, you could, and I'm being serious here, like, this is dangerous enough. You could justify basically any political outcomes if it meant doing the maximum possible work to stop climate change. That's not necessarily advocacy for authoritarianism, because authoritarians typically just buddy-buddy with the petrochemical companies, and then they just do more of this. Like, it's not as though a dictatorship would fix this. Dictatorships typically make these worse. Saudi Arabia is a dictatorship, you know? I'm just saying that in terms of political outcomes, whatever system fixes this right now is the best system. Like, no holds barred. You can tell where the Cascades are, see? The Cascades, that's this mountain range right here. That's why all the fire risk drops off west of them, because these mountains shield the rest of... it keeps the humidity in. There's Seattle. Is AI part of what caused the fire? Nope, just standard climate change. It's really not. The AI data centers are not even a rounding error here. It's just regular old. It's not anything novel. It's just regular old climate change. AI is causing climate change, though. We're talking, like, you would have to add so many zeros. like 0.000000001% of the problem. It's fossil fuels. It's always been the same thing. It's fossil fuels. It's coal, natural gas, and oil adding greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, leading to the climatic changes and a general temperature increase. It's like the AI is like again, not to harp on this again, but the contributions of the meat industry are probably in the magnitude of millions or tens of millions of times greater than AI in terms of the overall harm. Like literally, like AI is not even like the data center stuff is bad. I'm just saying that from a climate change perspective, it's not. You might as well not even factor it in to the math.
And fuel condition across the landscape, we're actually about 6 weeks ahead in terms of conditions. So where we're at today are conditions we normally see at the end of August or into September. So we're very concerned that not only are we under heightened risk, we're also potentially looking at fires well into October.
Yeah, not only what you're dealing with now, but what this portends if you're already here today, what the rest of this fire season is going to look like for you guys. Chandra, thank you very much. You guys have a lot of work ahead of you. I really appreciate it.
Potential is not good.
Not good, but hard at work at it. Thank you so much, Chandra Fox. I really appreciate it. Sarah.
All right, joining me now to talk more about this is Bobby Atwood. She lives in Spokane.
I wonder if you can see these fires in the ISS. Oh, easily.
And she had to evacuate her home. Thank you so much for talking to me. Give me a sense when you knew that this was so dangerous that you had to run for your life, leaving some of your things behind.
Well, it all happened very quickly. When I got word of the fire, I was just up the road at the Walmart, and I had to rush home and started getting my animals gathered up in crates, and within 30 minutes it had moved well over a mile, jumped the road, and
30 minutes, moved well over a mile, jumped the road. Just keep the math in your head.
Came up from two angles. It came from behind my home, and it came from up the hill in front of my home, and then combined on my property.
Why is climate change never talked about in the U.S.? I mean, it is to some extent, but to answer your question, it's because fossil fuel companies own the White House, Congress, and basically every major news station. Fox News is the most obviously bought, but fossil fuel companies have deep roots in basically every politically relevant institution in America.
And it was actually at the edge of my property when I was trying to get my other dogs out. Sorry.
It's okay.
And then I just had to go out to the road and call my animals and try to get them out. At that point, two of the dogs ran out to the road, and one was found the next morning, and the other one was the one in the picture with me, my dog Luna. We got her some vet care, and she's with my older kids, but it was very devastating to sit there and watch it, and then it just kept moving so fastly as soon as those two fires kind of combined on my property. And yeah, it was very devastating to have to leave and have no real time to get anything figured out and out of there.
Give me some sense. I mean, did you end up?
And it ain't just the U.S. either. Yeah. I just the reason I'm insistent that we not focus on the AI angle here is because there is an overwhelming force responsible for this, so far ahead of every other contributing factor that it's not even funny. And we know that the fossil fuel companies just bought off everyone to keep them from talking about this. No, my love, you're not wrong. I just the reason I don't like the AI explanation is because I don't like people thinking that this is novel. Even if AI as a technology had never happened and none of these data centers had gone up, this year would look the same as it does right now in terms of climate. It's not a novel thing. It's not a new turn or a new development. It's not a surprise. It's literally just a continuation of what scientists have been talking about nonstop for decades. The exact same processes, the exact same causes, over and over and over again. No one's surprised by this, at least no one who knows anything. It's just been a slow march to death. And we know they're doing it, and they're allowed to do it, and there's no consequences for doing it. Republicans outright deny climate change, but Democrats don't take it seriously either, because if they did, they would have, like, realistically, like, we wouldn't have a democracy right now. The Democrats would institute an authoritarian regime that would immediately nationalize and lock down fossil fuels. We would treat it like the existential threat to humanity that it is. Anything short of that, as far as I'm concerned, counts as not really caring.
Losing some animals, and how are you and your family at this hour?
I did. My son and his wife and their 2 young children live in a mobile home, or lived in a mobile home on my property, and I had the house. They lost their dog Evie, and I lost my dog Diamond. And
Ted Cruz introduced a bill to give fossil fuel industry total immunity from lawsuits this session. Yeah, of course, because lawsuits are going to be skyrocketing in the near future, since it's time. It's finally time for us to find out. You know, we fucked around and now we're finding out. Like, they all know. They're all aware of what they're doing. They know that they're ending the world. They don't care.
Little daughter lost her kitty cat Bubbles, and I lost Henny Penny, my chicken. So yeah, it really sucks. I did find 2 of the bodies yesterday when I was allowed to go back into my home.
Could we get off fossil fuels within 5 years if we wanted to? Yeah, we could do anything we wanted if we wanted to. The overwhelming power of the state and the ingenuity and productive capabilities of modern, industrial technology allow us to do basically anything with enough will. We 100% could. We could get off it in less than 5 years. Not 5 years, but no, I mean 5 years. I do mean it. I do think that. We could do it, but we won't.
It's hard, but I'm thankful that my children and my grandchildren all made it out of the property, and of all the things that were just destroyed on my property, my 4 fish in the middle of my burnt property were still alive in the hot tub. Their little homemade pond.
How much time did it take the United States Navy to produce a victory ship during World War II in the later years? Do you have any idea what would happen if the U.S. government treated this like wartime and started marshaling private industry to produce solar panels? We could have the entire world lit up like a battery in a year or two. I mean it. I genuinely mean it. We are so much more capable than people think. We've just been dulled by a world that maximizes for shareholder value. So every bridge, every building takes $50 billion in 10 years to build. The Pentagon spends trillions, but somehow can't even get missiles in time to bomb a fucking, Iranian hut containing a $50,000 Shahid drone. Neoliberalism has rotted out the core so severely we can't even imagine the government doing anything. But the government could do a lot. The American government can do a lot. They can do a lot. If they wanted to. They don't. But if they wanted to. Rations for every American. You get butter, eggs, flour, etc. delivered to your doorstep. Every factory churning out, renewables, technology, infrastructure being built. What would take 10 years before, now with the streamlining of the regulatory process, we could build bridges in a matter of weeks. We could change the shape of the planet if we wanted to.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear about the losses, because, animals to most of us are family too. I do want to ask you about what the status is of your home. We're looking at some of the pictures and whether or not you had homeowners insurance, you have something to try to help you rebuild, because this is utter devastation. I mean, there appears to be nothing left. What did you see, and what will you do going forward?
Well, I did not have homeowners insurance. We're low-income homesteaders, and I did not. I inherited this property about 6 years ago, and had just in the last 2 years replaced all the power, replaced the well, and was, building it up. Got my son and his wife the trailer and our mobile home, and I don't really know what we're going to do quite yet. We're just gonna hope for the best, but yes, everything was destroyed at my house except for
So she just shit out of luck? Yeah, Actually, statistically speaking, just judging from my analytics, when this gets turned into a YouTube segment, some of the people watching it will have just had their homes destroyed in Spokane. They'll also be shit out of luck just watching this on their phone, charging it from you know, gas station port. No plan.
The children, my grandkids' play toys out in the yard, and there's a couple green grass spots and the fishies. And we made it out with our lives, and we're thankful for that.
Well, thank God that you did.
Our next recommended video. YouTube's wildfires are so intense they're creating fire clouds. Well, that's good. Or that's on theme. Did I say YouTube, not Europe? You know what I mean. How's the air quality over here? Here in Seattle? I don't know. I haven't been outside today.
The governor of Washington state calls Spokane a war zone from the fires still very much blazing there. He made the point that much of the country does not seem to realize these fires have flattened city neighborhoods. And I want to show you what he's talking about here. This is the neighborhood around West Holyoke Ave. You can see this is what it looked like before the fires. Now look at what it's like now. You can see what the smoke and the flames did to that neighborhood, simply flattening it. One other neighborhood, West Pinecliff Court, again, before and now after. You can see just that entire area flattened. You can see a fire truck right here. The city of Spokane has a population of 250,000. There have been evacuations.
Yeah, no kidding. It looks like the IDF has been here.
Now for some 65,000 people, so a quarter of the city. Even if you expanded the county, the population is 600,000, so that would be 10%. Huge numbers of evacuations. One more neighborhood, North Parkview Lane. Again, before, look at all the beautiful houses here. Now look at, I'm going to X that out. Now look after. You can see, again, the fires there just completely flat.
Hey, Vaush, we did 25,000 dials for Abdul El-Sayed today. We totaled 115,000 dials in total, while also doing 25K at the same time for Salam Badi and another 30K for Corey Bush, so 170K in total. You got to put that shit out in a flyer. You got to make them graphics and post that shit to social media. Absolutely. Those are some big-ass numbers.
Hundreds and hundreds of structures have been destroyed, most of them homes. So again, people don't have places to live there. This is a devastating situation.
Authorities have now arrested a man on an arson charge for one of the 3 fires that have just been tearing through the Spokane area. According to witnesses, the 37-year-old suspect was seen bending down near a grassy area close to where the fire started. And then smoke was seen shortly after that. As of right now, nearly 65.
The public wants this because most people aren't psychologically capable of handling the fact that many American cities are now just tinderboxes that can be eliminated with a single careless flick of a cigarette butt out of a car window. People want a villain, right? It's much easier to it's much more like calming to think, oh, it was a villain that did this, rather than this is just the way the world is now for everyone, always.
5,000 people have been evacuated from the fire zone. And overnight, these fires grew to more than 10,000 acres, more than 700 structures so far destroyed. And right now, it is not contained, 0% containment.
Let's go live now to CNN correspondent Maribel Gonzalez in Spokane, Washington. Maribel, what more can you tell us?
In Japan, it's considered rude and inconsiderate to start wildfires with littered cigarettes. Oh, yes, of course. It's a violation of the ancient Japanese value of moshi moshi, which means it's too hot.
About this arrest.
Hi, Pamela. Yeah, well, we know that that arrest was in connection to the fire that started here, or the aftermath, I should say, of the Old Trails fire. This is a neighborhood that was impacted by that blaze. We know that the suspect is a 37-year-old man, and it actually was a witness that called the tip into law enforcement. They saw the suspect acting suspiciously. Law enforcement later returned to the scene, and they were able to determine that where that man was standing is where they believe that the fire started. Now,
probably not great civilizationally that like every town that isn't in an especially humid area is just a tinderbox now.
He was found to be in possession of waterproof matches and a butane lighter at the time. We also know that authorities have said he has a criminal record. The sheriff here in Spokane said that he's a convicted felon out of the state of Arizona and that he has a preceding arrest in the case, in a manslaughter case later for premeditated murder in Arizona as well. So we will be able to get to know more about this suspect later on as he appears before a judge later today. But right now,
did the guy actually cause this, or is this a fall guy? Oh, it could have been him. Again, like, whether or not it was arson has literally nothing to do with the broader point. Arsonists have been around for all of human history. The fact that an arsonist can start a blaze that just lights up a major city in no time, that's the climate change. Climate change doesn't have to start the fire. It has to ensure the drought conditions, dryness, and overall heat that allows any fire to turn into a blazer.
he is being held on a $1 million bond.
Joining me now is Dave Up the Grove. He's the Washington State Commissioner of Public Lands. Thank you for joining us. There are several fires burning at this hour in Spokane. There is extensive damage, loss of more than 700 buildings at this hour. I do want to ask you what the status is right now of all the different areas that are.
Yeah, really nasty business. We don't have to linger on this too much. We got a lot to talk about today, but we got them classic pre and post Gaza. Got penis music. Just really, really, really nasty business. Look at that. Well, I guess some of them lived, at least for now.